Immunology Insights, Basics and Beyond, Chapter 4, Edward Jenner and the Development of Vaccination. Marcello here. Welcome back to Immunology Insights, Basics and Beyond, where we delve deep into the history, science and impact of the immune system. In our journey so far, we have explored the fundamental principles of immunity and began to unravel the complex interactions within our bodies that keep us healthy. The last chapter dealt with immune surveillance and homeostasis, two essential concepts that keep our bodies in a state of equilibrium while defending against potential threats. However, to truly appreciate the advancements in immunology today, we must also look back at the pioneers whose discoveries laid the groundwork for this fascinating field. So let's talk science. In this chapter, we will travel back to the late 18th century, a time when smallpox was a deadly and feared disease. This was a world desperate for solutions, where one man's curiosity and determination led to the development of a practice that has saved countless lives since. We are talking about Edward Jenner, the physician whose work on vaccination changed the course of medical history. Edward Jenner was born in 1749 in the small village of Berkeley, Gloucestershire, England. From a young age, Jenner was fascinated by the natural world, often spending his time observing plants and animals. His interest in medicine developed early, and by 14 he was apprenticed to a local surgeon. This hands-on experience laid the foundation for his later work, but it was during his time in London, studying under the famous surgeon John Hunter, that Jenner's scientific curiosity truly blossomed. Hunter was a pioneer in his own right, known for his insistence on careful observation and experimentation, a principle that would deeply influence Jenner. By the time Jenner returned to his hometown to practice as country doctor, smallpox was one of the most dreaded diseases in Europe. It killed hundreds of thousands each year and left survivors with disfiguring scars. The practice of variolation, an early form of immunization, was the only method available to prevent smallpox. But it was a risky procedure. It involved deliberately infecting a person with a small amount of the virus, hoping to induce a mild case that would confer immunity. However, this procedure sometimes led to severe illness or death. Jenner had heard local tales that milkmaids who contracted cowpox, a mild disease spread from cows, seemed to be immune to smallpox. This was considered little more than folklore, but Jenner's inquisitive mind saw potential. Could it be that exposure to cowpox could protect someone from the much more dangerous smallpox? He decided to test this theory in 1796. Jenner's experiment began with a milkmaid named Sarah Nelmes, who had contracted cowpox from a cow named Blossom. Jenner took material from a cowpox sore on her hand and used it to inoculate an 8-year-old boy named James Phipps, the son of his gardener. As expected, James developed a mild fever but soon recovered. The true test came when Jenner later exposed James to smallpox. To Jenner's relief and excitement, James did not develop the disease, confirming Jenner's hypothesis that cowpox could indeed protect against smallpox. This moment was revolutionary. Jenner's success in preventing smallpox with cowpox marked the beginning of vaccination as we know it today. He coined the term vaccination from the Latin word vacca, meaning cow, in honor of the source of his breakthrough. Jenner's findings were published in 1798 in his famous work An Inquiry into the Causes and Effects of the Variole Vaccine, and his method gained rapidly attention. Jenner's work was not without controversy. Some doctors and members of the public were skeptical or even fearful of the idea of introducing material from a cow into the human body. There were even caricatures and cartoons depicting vaccinated individuals sprouting cow-like features, reflecting public anxiety about this new practice. Despite the resistance, the evidence was clear. Vaccination was safer than variolation, and as its use spread, it began to replace the older, riskier method. One of the most interesting aspects of Jenner's legacy is his decision not to patent his discovery. In a time when he could have profited greatly, Jenner chose instead to share his findings freely, believing that the benefits of vaccination should be accessible to all. His selflessness had a profound impact, accelerating the spread of vaccination across Europe and beyond. Napoleon Bonaparte, during his campaign to conquer Europe, ordered the vaccination of his entire army against smallpox. Remarkably, when Jenner later requested the release of 2 British prisoners of war, Napoleon, despite being at war with England, honored the request, reportedly saying, "We can refuse nothing to that man." This anecdote illustrates the respect Jenner commanded, even from his nation's enemies. By the early 19th century, Jenner's method has become widely accepted, and vaccination was being practiced across the globe. In 1840, the British government made smallpox vaccination available for free, and by 1853, it was made compulsory in England and Wales. The impact of Jenner's work cannot be overstated. It laid the foundation for the field of immunology and led directly to one of humanity's greatest public health achievements, the global eradication of smallpox in 1980. Edward Jenner passed away in 1823, but his legacy lives on. Today, vaccination remains one of the most effective tools in medicine, protecting millions from diseases that once ravaged populations. Jenner's pioneering work not only changed the course of history, but also set the stage for the development of the many vaccines we rely on today. To conclude, as we continue our exploration of immunology, understanding Jenner's contributions help us appreciate the strides we have made in protecting human health. In our next chapter, we will delve into the different cell types of the immune system, the key players that make vaccination and so many other immunological processes possible. Until then, remember the power of curiosity and the impact one person's dedication can have on the world. Before closing, I have a small request. If you enjoyed my content and want to hear more, like and subscribe. It's a small step for you, but it helps me a lot. So, see you next time and thank you for listening.